Hello, everyone. Welcome to Natalie and I's project-based unit outline that we have created for English 288 in the Education Department at Trinity Christian College. So today we will be diving into the 5th grade, and to start off, we have a mini lesson aligned with an SEL standard. Our social-emotional learning standard is analyzing how personal qualities influence choices and success. So our objective is to look at, after working with a partner, students will be able to create a how-to environmental booklet with 100% accuracy. And our formal assessment for this mini lesson is making notes of the students who connected their personal choices to the successes of their projects.
They will make a checklist to see how the students connect with their personal choices with the project. As a quick glance for the engage, or just ask the students the last time they read instructions, explain to them about putting together a chair or something, or like a screw, and you have to read the instructions in order to understand where to go. And we'll also explain to them about reading how to tie your shoe, and them having to read the instructions and then doing it just how the instructions would say. For the connect, we will explain the giving details, why it's important to follow the instructions and to do what's said or is written, giving that you're going to be working with a partner of the project and they're going to connect with personal choices to help succeed. The skill for the launch is that we'll be discussing the choices made by the decision of the success of the project with one partner. For the first activity, we will invite the students to share examples of what the choices that are made during the day was successful. They will write responses on the board, have children think about a choice they would need to make to have a successful day. First, they will need to discuss with their partner. Each group should come with one choice. After that, they will share their responses as a whole class, and we'll write them on the board.
In activity 2, we are going to tell the students they're going to have an opportunity to practice choices that will better their success in groups. So we're going to be dividing the students into groups and having one student open the file that has a series of questions, and they are to choose what choice they would want to do and be best for the situation. So after the student is finished with the questions, we will have them create a list of the places they thought they went wrong and where they had success, and also have them write it down if there were any conflicts of which option to choose in their groups. So we're going to have the students take turns when they go through. Next up, we're going to look at our instructional plan. This is the preliminary planning that we have for 5th grade and the purpose of finding ways to better the environment. The students will be making hard copies of the book, hard copies of how-to books, and explaining them and reading them to lower grade classes K through 3rd grade. Our key elements of this final project include introduction, grammar, reasons, step-by-step, conclusion, rebuttal, and text features, and it will be an informative booklet that the students will have.
All right, so in session 1, we have students will write a summary of the launch book to help with the new ideas to write their own environmental books. We'll have the book You Can Make a Difference. Determine 2 or more main ideas of the text to explain how they support by the key details and summarize the text. Then we'll go down to reading and research. For session 2, students will read the story to identify the types of environment problems. They will see the sources also and do a conduct research project that has several sources that built knowledge through the investigation of different aspects of the topic. They will also describe environmental and ways to make the planet a better place. For session 3, after reading one source about the environment, students will present to the class on what they learned. They will write narratives, develop real and imagined experiences on events using effective technique, description details, and a clear event sequence. Then for session 4, after reading the sources from 3 sessions, students will complete a graphic organizer that we will discuss later that compares environmental friendliness. Students will explain what they learned on how to save the environment. They will also look at the text like they did in session 3 on how to change everything, the young humans guide to protecting a planet and each other. You also have to recall the information from the experience and gather relevant information from print and digital sources. You have to summarize or paraphrase information from the book. And then we have in session 5, the last one. For this one, students will take the notes they listen from a podcast about the environment and ways they can improve. After listening to the podcast, students will make a list of ways to help the environment and correlate with the problems in the environment. And they will describe how a narrator's or speaker's point of view influences and how the events are described. Next, we have writing and research.
So in writing and research, they're going to be conducting short research project on several sources to build knowledge about the investigation that they're discovering. So they will be using the mentor text, Start Now. You can make a difference. For session 6, we're going to have them quote accurately from the text when explaining. So this also includes when they are researching. They will also be using the mentor text to tell the difference between the evidence, counter-argument, and rebuttal. They will also need to explain the writer's purpose, and this is all with quoting it accurately from the text. In session 7, students will identify the actions needed to help the environment. They will need to explain how each action helps justify the writer's reasons. Again, they have to do this accurately when they're taking explanations from the text. For session 8, they will be producing clear and coherent writing in which they develop organization and appropriate to task, purpose, and audience. So after looking at the actions needed to take, the student will discuss ways to write the introduction to their books that grabs the reader's attention. Students will write their own introductions for their own how-to books. Session 9 includes introducing a topic or text clearly that states an opinion and creates an organizational structure in which ideas are logically grouped to support the writer's purpose. And they will be using a graphic organizer, which we will talk about later, on how students will produce their first draft of in their how-to book. Session 10 includes students listing 3 to 6 informative points and to choose one to rebut. They will write informative explanatory text to examine a topic and convey ideas and information clearly. They need to introduce a topic clearly, provide a general observation and focus, and group related information logically. Illustrations will be useful in this part. They will also develop the topic with facts, definitions, details, quotations, and other information and examples that relate to their topic and environment. In session 11, they will be rereading their conclusion to the book that they have written. They will discuss information that will be effective for their conclusion. So we need them to write, again, in a clearly stated way that is using topics and facts that they wrote above with details and information. Next is revision and editing.
So for session 12, we have students will look at the image in the mentor's text. The students will discuss how the image can make the book stronger. Students will draw and find images for their books. That's like drawing so they can see the words and then make sure they have the research and drawing. Session 13, students will practice reading their books to groups in class. Students will offer peer feedback on their reading. They will produce incoherent writing in which to develop an organization and appropriate to task, purpose, and audience. In session 14, the students will give feedback in their drafts. There will be invitation to revise their drafts. With guidance and support, the peers and adults develop a strengthened writing as needed by planning, revising, editing, rewriting, and trying new approach. Then they will do a checklist, an editing checklist with the guidance of the support peers and the from adults. They will also, same thing, use for rewriting and trying new approach. For the session 16, the last one, students will create a final how-to book about the environment. They will also practice reading the book with expression. They will conduct a short research project that will several sources to build knowledge through the investigation of different aspects or topics. As for the presentation,
we will be inviting younger classes, K through 3rd grade, like we stated before, and we're going to have the students share their books to the students in buddy groups. They will switch groups, so since the classes are small, since they will be able to share it with everyone. Afterward, we'll be enjoying a lovely environmental friendly snack, so something that has very little waste. And when we are done with our how-to books in the school, after a few weeks, we plan on sharing them with local doctors' offices, places like that, for others to also read the book. So we have an example of a lesson plan looking back on session 4 on comparisons. So this is where we talked about using the graphic organizer specifically and having the kids recall information to that's relevant, giving them a way to summarize and paraphrase the information that they're taking from their works. We want them to be using graphic organizers and being able to use them with 100% accuracy. I also want to check in with them with a checklist of individual conferences on how this information is going to work. So we're first going to start off with our instructional plan of engaging.
You put 2 pictures on a PowerPoint that's slightly different and ask the kids to compare and contrast between the 2 pictures, making sure the point is out there and safety differences. As the connect, we are going to see the pictures and the things that they're the same but different, but also the safety of people. All right, next we have for the launch for the skill, we are going to have the students be able to think about the property graphic organizer and the view of the 2 pictures and compare and contrast. Here we have our example for a model. We have dogs, cats, and then both in between. This way it will, you can see the difference between the dogs and the cats, but then in the middle. So there they will do the way that they have their environment, the way that the environment is best like working as, and then what's similar. And I also think like, oh, I might need to change this way of my life to make it more environmental. Then they will have to do it in a group, a guided practice, and then on their own. Then we also have our checklist down here on the daily activity and the environmental friendly.
This is our lovely PBL template that we've created. We hope you find it useful for hopefully your classroom, and we look forward to using it in our own classrooms one day. Thanks for tuning in.